without going live. I guess we can do that. Hello, everybody. Greetings. Welcome. It is time for Discussing Tabletop. I'm, as usual, your host, Dracovin, Lord Emperor here. And this week, I have my usual guest that I normally have, Momo.
I'm here again. You can't get rid of me.
Well, you know, we need, like, you know, some stability, and you're a good guest host, you know. Maybe one day we'll get some other guest hosts. I keep forgetting that I probably should, like, poke earlier in the week. You really
should poke, like, on Friday. Or Thursday.
Yeah!
So people have time to put the time aside.
I think it just ends up being, like, my brain and scheduling stuff.
I'm just gonna start doing it. It also would help if I think many people just have this chat muted.
I think they do, and I agree with that. It's just like, I really do think they have the chat muted, and it's just sort of like, well, someone will respond if they see something, I guess.
We could add Cell next week, because I know he's on, like, university break.
Yeah, I wasn't going to add Cell this week, because I knew he was going to
I know he's dead from finals or something.
Yay, death by finals.
Ooh, university. I remember being in that. I technically finished.
I did not, technically. Well, I finished one, and then I went to another one, and that one didn't finish.
Yeah. I didn't get the full 4-year, but I have a 2-year.
I do have a 2-year. I went to a school that transferred to a 4-year. Never finished the 4-year.
That's fair. I don't do anything with mine. I work as a cook. It's going to appear on streams occasionally.
Look, you know, not the bachelor's, it's the other one. Associates in mathematics is very helpful. I'm just saying.
Yep.
But, hey, I threw a doc in the chat, because we have a bunch of things to talk about.
There's things and
now,
stuff.
There is one thing that is sort of not on the docket that is to talk about.
Yeah. On Humble, there is a big old bundle for the Witcher RPG for $18. You get the whole Witcher RPG plus some old books from our... How do you say that company name? Talsurin?
Is it Talsurin, I think, or something like that?
The people who make Cyberpunk.
Yeah, they do The Witcher.
They have a Witcher RPG and some older books up for $18 on Humble. It's, like, pretty good. I heard really good things about the Witcher RPG.
Yes. I was talking about it last week, how I had a chance to chat with some of them about their stuff, and it was very fun to meet them and chat a little bit. So, can you throw that link into chat? So I don't have to pull it out.
They also have been releasing stuff on their website for Cyberpunk Red. So if you play Red, you can get some free supplements. They're not like, you know, required things, but they listed one for more vehicles recently. So you could have like a bicycle now if you wanted to. Always
fun. So that's something to check out if you're interested in the Witcher RPG. Honestly, if you have familiarity with Cyberpunk, it's the same. It's a similar system.
Pretty similar.
Yeah. And they do good stuff at that company. So I guess I'll start with my PAX Unplugged Part 2, because I did go Sunday, and I did remember a few other things. So the one game that I couldn't remember the name of was Monsters in America. That was the one that was like the modern fantasy version, D&D version of America. Which was, again, kind of interesting. It's interesting to see when you, like, go to one of these conventions about what kind of, like, there is some mild changes between the days. It would have been interesting to see on Saturday if a couple of companies had popped out.
Probably would have, I assume, because booth space is expensive.
Yeah. There's actually, like, interesting to see, like, certain companies that weren't there. Like, Steve Jackson Games wasn't there. But it kind of was. Because I saw Atlas Games, who we've talked about before, had a small section of their booth dedicated to Steve Jackson Games stuff.
Neat.
So I think Steve Jackson Games, like, here, can you sell some of our stuff? They've worked together. They have worked together in the past. There's like a one of their games, Gloom. I think there's like a Munchkin version of it, so I think that's why they worked together, doing some stuff. So I can understand it.
Makes sense.
Didn't see Modifius, but they're a European company. Understood.
Yeah,
that.
It's hard to get out to America these days.
Yeah, it's a strange thing that there weren't a lot. Like, there were maybe less Asmodee companies than I thought there would be.
Asmodee got eaten, so that's probably why.
Oh, the entire...
Asmodee was bought by Saber Group, I believe.
Oh, God, so like a big, like...
A big tabletop company got bought by another big company.
But Asmodee was already an umbrella company, but an umbrella company got eaten?
When did they get purchased?
Jeez.
Asmodee got purchased, I want to say last year.
Could have been, I just didn't notice it.
Yes, they got purchased by Embracer Group last year.
Cause like
for €3 billion.
That might have explained why like Plaid Hat Games was able to split off as easy as it was.
Yeah.
Because if the company that bought them up was kind of eaten up, that might have allowed them to.
Why we're also getting Star Wars reprints. Because the licensing is now being handled by Embracer Group, who, in all honesty, kind of does a better job of it.
So it'll be interesting because like we didn't have Fantasy Flight. I think like the biggest group under that old umbrella, I guess now it's Embracer's umbrella.
Yeah,
is WizKids was there. They had quite a presence. And it's the weird thing to think like they had nowhere near the presence of like Tabletop Tycoon, which is another umbrella group. But they're like a much smaller umbrella group. Like I feel like when we talk about the Asmodee, now Embracer umbrella, each of those companies feels like a AA tabletop company.
Yeah.
Under them. Tabletop Tycoon has like single A companies under them. So that's why it's kind of a weird thing that they don't, like, maybe, Asmodee, now Embracer, is trying to be a little bit more of like a AAA tabletop because they're bigger, like they're Hasbro with their umbrella under like Wizards and stuff like that, but like that requires the big umbrella. Tabletop Tycoon, I feel like just doesn't have that same umbrella,
No, like for people who don't know or not in the know, Asmodee was the one who owned Fantasy Flight, who owned pretty much just the blanket license to Star Wars board games.
Yeah.
They also own Catan, that
Catan company,
French game that you like,
Carcassonne, which is
Carcassonne,
under it's Z-Man Games.
Z-Man Games is a subsidiary of Asmodee, which is now a subsidiary of Embracer.
Yeah, WizKids is. What's some other ones? We said the Fantasy Flight.
Days of Wonder and Lookout are two big ones.
Plaid Hat had been until recently. Come On Games.
Yep.
Come On Games, that's another one. There's a few more that I can't remember off the top of my head. But they were all under that umbrella. I mean, Catan was there, which was kind of weird. And they have, like, 2 new Catan games, which was kind of unusual.
God, I don't know if I could ever play Catan again in my life. I played so much in college.
They were kind of different, though, too, was the thing. They were like a space kind of Catan that felt like a little bit of a different setup, and then like a Stone Age one, and there was like another one. So sort of like, I guess they're trying to branch out that it's sort of like similar things, but they're like similar vein, but they're trying to do different stuff. But
I do know, this is the weirdest fact about Catan I know, is that Sony either was negotiating the rights to or has the rights to a film adaptation of the board game.
I did see there was, I can't remember the company now because I'm going to forget a lot of these company names, but someone was doing digital versions of a couple of other companies' board games. They were doing a digital one of Everdell, which is under Tabletop Tycoon, and I forget the company that's the small company that does that under Tabletop Tycoon. Munchkin and Root, that game that also got like an RPG version of it, because the free grab bag they gave out Media People had like a little like quick start for the Root RPG.
Okay.
And I've heard of that board game before, but I didn't know a lot about it, so it's sort of like one of these things of like, I don't know a lot about it.
Direwolf Digital is the one who does those because they did the Dune game.
Okay, so Direwolf Digital is now building
Yeah,
a lot of this stuff.
They did Dune Imperium, which is an excellent video game.
Also, again, another one that I'd have to like look up all my videos and stuff for the company. There was a group that's making like specific RPG setups, digital tabletops. So they made deals with like Free League. Yeah, Free League. To do a couple of their games and stuff. Yeah.
Okay, that's neat.
So, and a couple other like games like that. They had like a list of like 7 games that were like, we're building like custom digital tabletops for these games. So that's kind of interesting too, because that's sort of like, can you compete with something that's a little more open-ended with like 20? Is it going to be cool and good enough that you want to be your own product?
If it's more like specialization, having a specialized thing is good because Roll20 is very generic.
Yeah.
It's very general. You can do anything on it. Roll20 is also kind of a pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah. I think it's the catch-22 that like it's good and bad at the same time, because I think you need kind of both is the thing.
Yeah.
For best.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else major that I can think of off the top of my head about some of the interesting things I saw there? I did get to try out one board game, card game. See, like, this is the problem with me. If I don't write something down, names elude me.
You forget it, yeah, I understand that one.
And this was one that, like, I ran into my one friend for a while, and she was like, walk with me. And then she's like, play this board game with me. And I'm like, I had, like, walked through the show floor a lot. And I'm like, I kind of want to go rest in the media room and sit down for a while. And I'm like, I guess I can sit here and do this with you. And it was kind of like an interesting game about... was it like 7 souls, I think, or something like that? You were like a deity trying to gather the souls of the followers while fighting against, like, you were competing against each other to get the most, like, soul points. Plus, also, like, there were these, like, hunters that believe you're, like, you know, probably, like, dark gods or something, you know, that in their belief, and they're trying to, like, undermine you and stuff like that. So you can fight them and stuff. And it's a little bit of a, what's the type of gameplay? It's like, Hearts has that, the style of gameplay where you have, so you have a deck of cards, but you technically, like, you make your deck of cards each round. No. I'm sorry. You have a group of cards that are, like, 7 different cards that have different abilities. And you lay them out in piles. And then so each of the piles goes once, lowest, and there's a number on each of those cards. So I might put out my 2 in one pile, my like 7 in another pile, my 5 in another pile. Lowest to highest goes, your abilities go off. And then there's also like a deck building component of it, which is for like fighting maybe each other or, you know, beings, you know. And you can give other people curses and then take other cards which enhance yours. And it was an interesting little game, honestly. It was fun to try out, but it was also like one of those ones that I'm like, it's the strange thing that I thought about it on Sunday a lot, because I was buying stuff on Sunday, and I sat down and I, like, when I was thinking about it, I got some Magic cards, yes, but I thought about getting a board game, and then I said to myself, Magic cards I like collecting, so it doesn't matter if I'm doing anything with them or not. I also like editing my old decks, because those sometimes, you know, I can pull out a deck somewhere, like if I know some people. Small card games, maybe. I didn't see any that really fancied me. Most of the ones I want, I own. A large board game, I don't have a place to play it or people to play it with.
Yeah, that's the problem with board games, in my opinion. I love board games, but I don't have anyone to play them with. Yeah, like a small, like, pack kind of thing of cards for like a card game, or like even like a small like board, little like one of those mini board games like this, I can bring with me if I go hang out with some people at a diner that's, you know, in the middle of our area, so that none of us have to drive super far, you know. I can do that, but like
big old board game, it's not as easy to...
Why I love tabletops.
Yeah.
Because I can play board games with people who don't live near me.
It is very nice that way, and it makes it easier. It's like, even people that live generally near me, it's sort of like still difficult.
Because being an adult, you can't schedule anything.
Joe's very busy, and Blaze is very busy, and they're the two people that maybe I could try to drag somewhere.
Getting like 3 to 5 adults to do anything together is basically impossible.
Mm-hmm. It was for a while nice, like years ago, a couple years now actually. Just, occasionally Joe and I would be able to meet up somewhere, and that was nice. But that's just 2 people. You can't do a lot with 2 people. You can do
there's not many 2 people board games.
But so, PAX Unlugged, fun, and the big thing is I got to meet Zero Doxy and the Dungeon Dad in person. I think I mentioned that. But then we went out to. They wanted sushi. I'm not a sushi fan, but I like Japanese food, which I can. I think I've told people before. I don't like sushi because I don't like vinegar. And I can taste the vinegar in the rice because that's what makes sushi. The vinegar, rice wine vinegar in the rice, and a special mixture of it. And sashimi, which is the raw fish, is equivalent to any other fish for me, so it doesn't really make a difference.
Fair.
I
don't like sushi either, but I just don't like raw fish.
Yeah, I've had it before, and I'm like, just some sashimi, and I'm like, it's fine.
Not my thing.
I'd prefer cooked, honestly.
I prefer a nice plate of fish and chips, personally.
See, that's a difference between me and you. I can point out also, I actually like a broiled fish more than a fried.
That's fair. I like my fried fish. I do like grilled salmon and stuff, though.
A nice
grilled fish is nice.
A grilled fish is good, yeah. Or something nice sauce or something. Yeah, sauce.
Well,
but
maybe next year I'll be able to go to PAX Unlugged. I got hit with a bunch of stuff this year that I wasn't expecting.
It was nice enough to see the people I did see, and it was like I talked to a couple other people, and they just were planning or only went on the times that were very inconvenient, so I really didn't see them.
Yeah.
So it was like my one friend who is actually the person that, when they can, and maybe someday they'll be able to again, if their schedule stabilizes again, run Pathfinder 2nd Edition again with me. She and another friend I'd never met before came in on the train with me. Neat. It was nice. I, granted on Sunday I went back on my own, but it was nice on
The nice thing about next year is I will have 3 paid vacation weeks instead of just 2. So I can just take a vacation and go if I wanted to.
That'd be nice.
And get paid to do it.
I mean, honestly, I could also be like, you're hanging around on this show enough. You can technically get the media pass.
Been on this show for 2 years.
So you can
I could probably get a media pass.
Look, Joe shows up a lot less nowadays, and he can still get the media pass.
But it's like, the big thing is, I just need to travel. Oh, hey, just train from Pittsburgh to that area.
Yeah.
It's like $60.
And honestly, like
the hotels are not hotels got a lot cheaper because Airbnb became shit.
Yeah. And honestly, like, I could also suggest, like, there are plenty of, like, other, like, train stations. The line I take has train stations which head all the way up, like, throughout the suburbs area. Many of them have hotels nearby to them that might be cheaper. I don't know, but it also has options,
Because when I was looking, it was like, for the whole weekend, for like the 4 days I would have to be there, it was like $200 to stay in the hotel I was looking at. Which is, that's pretty good, considering Airbnb for that time would be like $500 to $600.
That's really nice.
Airbnb has gotten horrendous.
There's certainly
also, it helps that I live along the Keystone Corridor train line, so...
Yeah, the train lines help. Gotta be honest. It's one of those things as being in the SEPTA lines around this area. It's really nice.
Because I could take a train here to New York, because the Keystone line is connected to the big East Coast one.
Yeah. I think I'd have to... If I wanted to, I could still take train into New York. I'd have to go down into Philadelphia and then do switch train lines and stuff through the main hub and SEPTA or something.
Yep, trains are nice.
Well, not bad. So yeah, PAX Unplugged is good. I definitely, hopefully next year I have to consider. I'll reach out to a few people maybe about PAX East. I'm like on the fence about it. Like the thing is, like, for me, I could only go if I could get a couple of people to share a room with.
East.
It's Boston.
I find I've been to East. It's so fucking boring. Because video game conventions are boring.
It wasn't bad when I went. Granted, I went right before the pandemic, and it was weird and different, maybe a little bit. But I feel like going as media, checking out some things, and honestly hanging out with some people made it really nice.
Yeah, I mean, the big one I like to go to is the Music and Game Festival in Maryland. That one's nice. There's also a lot of furries that go to that one, which is why I enjoy it, because it's a good community.
I miss, just because, I don't know. I used to go to Otakon in Maryland, but it moved from Baltimore to Washington, D.C.
Ooh, that's even more expensive.
Yeah, that was the thing. It was even more expensive, and it's like in the center of D.C.
Yeah, getting a hotel in D.C. is going to cost you a lot of money.
Yeah, like, at very least, even the more expensive hotels for Otakon, they had deals and stuff. And I'm sure they've got deals too, but those deals might not be the same, as what they used to be. Like,
probably not.
Like, staying in Baltimore and having, like, $100 a night, that was expensive, but that's not bad for...
Expensive, but you can split the cost with people.
Yeah, which we always did. And honestly, it was nice to come in on, like, Thursday and go to the aquarium. Baltimore Aquarium is really nice.
So the nice thing if I would go to Unplugged next year is I have not been to Philadelphia in many, many years, so I can go back and see things.
Darn nice,
all the nice historical sites and such.
God, it's one of those things too, is like I haven't been to a lot of those historical things since I was much younger too.
Yeah. Because I mean, we've got that kind of stuff here in Pittsburgh area, but like, ours are mostly Civil War stuff. Or French and Indian War. We don't have much Revolutionary War stuff here.
I mean, I always liked going to a couple of places, because like, what is it? I'm trying to think of it. Where Washington crossed the Delaware from?
I should know that, but I don't remember.
Same with me.
I'm totally putting my 2-year degree in modern history to use.
It's just me forgetting stuff. The place he wintered and it was shit, but we have it here. And it's actually surprisingly close to where I live. I could probably get there in like half an hour to 45 minutes, but it's back roadsy, so that's why it's a little longer.
I don't remember.
I'll remember it later on today. But yeah, so PAX Unplugged, good. Hopefully it'll be great next year. More people will show up. Maybe we'll get Josiah and Docs down again, and maybe Eric will come in, you'll come in.
Hopefully I can make it. It'll definitely be a nice incentive if I don't have to pay for a ticket.
Yeah. Some nice stuff.
Let's get Eric on the show a couple of times, and then he can get that.
Yeah, if we get him on enough, we can like show off some stuff.
If he shows up like a couple times,
he's a guest star. We could call him like our consultant or reporter or something.
Our errand boy.
I will, before we run into some magic stuff, I will give the weekly Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous update.
Playing that, huh?
I'm still playing it. Honestly, it was fine. The most annoying part of Chapter 5 so far is rebuilding your stupid army, though they like give you a whole bunch of like honestly cheat cards. That the one that is the best is increase a number of units in one of your armies. So what I do is, because it's a random one in your army, I separate out the units I want to be they're enhanced into their own thing, and I then just use it on them. And you know what units I chose? My fucking Corps of Angels.
The broken shit?
Yeah. So I have now like probably like 180 more angels than I would have had.
Really thought putting that one in, didn't you?
So
game developer.
I just keep getting up. And the thing is, it's a random one from your army. I'm like, I just will make an army of 1 unit.
Yeah.
You know? Now I have like 300 angels, which is actually pretty nasty because they're fucking angels.
Yep.
They murder stuff. Granted, like the other support units, I'm slowly rebuilding, and that they every like week in game makes it better, and the adventures are fine. You know, I've just been going on random ones. I haven't been doing the story ones, so it's actually like, you know, at this point in time, like if they didn't reset the army stuff, if they did something a little more interesting for that, I actually probably wouldn't have had a problem at all. Like honestly, just freaking get rid of Chapter 4, and the game has its issues. I would have been a lot happier with it.
I very much dislike when a game resets your progress for the sake of plot. I find it very boring. And, like, just unneeded in most cases.
Kind of is. I agree. Hi, one. So, that's that. Magic. The big thing I want to talk about is, this is something that I hadn't talked about, but I knew was a thing, is we heard Dominaria Remastered. No one knew what it was going to be. And the thing is, the way that they announced it, it was thought that it might have been similar to the Tempest Remastered block, only on online. But as of their thing now, we know on the 13th of January it'll be out on you know, local game stores and on Amazon, so it is a physical thing too. And it's reprints that are all cards from Dominaria, and you know,
reprints are good.
Some of them are cool, some of them are probably not, because you know, some of the comments are kind of whatever, but
yeah. I mean, it's like every set.
Yeah, but I took a look through them kind of basically, and honestly, it looks like a lot of really neat reprints, and some of them I actually like. Some of them are like, oh, hey, I remember that card. Kind of just wanted to be like, this is a good product. You know, it's like,
fair.
For every, you know, it's like we have the 2 sets that came out at the end of the year, kind of shit, and then they give us the Jumpstart 2022, which was really good, and that's really good at the beginning of the year, and I'm like, can't you do that with everything?
They have to overprint cards and bankrupt their board game.
The bad thing I was going to kind of throw out here is they've got another super drop of secret layers.
What's the secret layer this time?
Too many of them. They have a bunch of Transformer ones too, which are just...
I sure do wish I had this link.
Sorry, I'll throw out the Transformer one and then the store page. And I should have thrown out the card image gallery for Dominaria Remastered.
I don't mind the Transformers one as much.
Yeah, like, why they were with Brothers War, whatever, on their own, honestly, I don't really care. You know, I think that's the thing.
I mean, Fabricate with Transformer thing is pretty cool. I don't recognize many of these cards because every Magic card just blends together in the back of my mind.
True Conviction's very good. That's the only one I can tell you out of this list that's very good. Because True Conviction I use in a bunch of places. Double
Fabricate a lot.
Oh, Fabricate is good too. I forgot. Yeah.
I think I recognize Greater Good.
Yeah.
Which, of course, is using the scene where Optimus Prime died.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, neat. Transformers is still relevant. I think, right? Like, people still like Transformers.
I mean, this is the generation that people talk about. It's the 80s generation. Like,
yeah, I mean, there's a new movie coming out. It's Beast Wars this time.
There is a weird video game, because I saw a bunch of the trailers from the...
Yeah, there's the video game. I did see someone talk about
I
that.
didn't even think it was a Transformers game. You know, like, I thought it was going to be, oh, it's like this war against these things. You rebuild this one robot, and it's your, like, robot that helps you. But it turns out the robot's a Transformer, and I'm like, okay.
Like, I watched the Game Awards, and as soon when Hades 2 got announced, like, immediately. And then Death Stranding 2 got announced, I kind of just, like, nothing else matters. I just want these 2 products.
There are a few things in there that I said I'd be interested in.
I saw, like, Blood Bowl 3 got announced.
Yeah.
That's board game related, so I can mention that.
Yeah, because it's the video game version of the miniatures game.
Second edition rules, which are good from what I've heard.
Yeah. You know, it's the weird thing that, like, I gotta be honest, nothing really super excited me at the Game Awards for all their pre-products, but there was some, like, interesting things. Like
Bioshock 5 or whatever they're on now, basically.
It's the... I guess it's, like, one of the main creators left the group.
Yeah.
And I think someone I heard say it best is, they don't have high hopes for it because a lot of times when these creators leave the group and make something, it does always well.
Callisto Protocol, you say, where the Dead Space creator made a product.
Again, like I've seen more of Callisto Protocol than like I had before.
It's boring. It's just a boring game.
It's like the thing is like it's a style of game that's very different than you'd think it would be from the art style.
The problem with it is it's trying to be Dead Space, but for like missing out. This is a side thing I'm going to talk about anyways, because I'm very passionate about horror games. Chat. The thing with Dead Space, the big thing, why it's so replayable despite being an incredibly linear game, is every weapon is functionally different. In Callisto, all the weapons are exactly the same.
Yeah. And you interchange
them. There's no real replayability.
Yeah.
Because you can play Dead Space with one loadout and then with a completely different set of guns and have a completely different experience.
That I definitely can see from Dead Space from encountering it.
With Callisto, you get like a shotgun and a pistol.
The one thing I'm going back to like actually talk about our stuff here. The one Transformer when the Optimus vs. Megatron bundle, they're actually really good 3 cards. It's only 3 cards, but it's the Blightsteel Colossus, the Darksteel Colossus, and the Doubling Cube.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
That's a pretty good selection.
I mean, I don't know like Transformers lore. I've seen.
Yeah.
I don't remember what the Allspark is.
It's like
It's the MacGuffin.
It's the MacGuffin that's like, you know, in Optimus that makes him Optimus Prime, that makes Rodimus Prime when they put it in whatever the fuck his name was originally. I can never remember.
I mean, I remember the dinosaur one. That's the main one I remember is the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Which is Beast War, right?
Yeah, the Beast War had dinosaurs in it.
That's the one I want. You know, a wee child.
I'm gonna say like a lot of these other like super drops in the December one, they're things. The only thing I have to say is the only reason. Okay, I learned about this because I turned on a YouTube channel, and so commercial started, or it turned on a YouTube video. A commercial started. You notice you usually wait for like the little skip thing, and I'm waiting for the skip thing for 5 seconds. You know, and I'm kind of paying attention to it. I'm like, is this like a breakfast cereal? No. The Just Add Milk, they made a joke breakfast cereal commercial with puppets of the 3 like magic cards. Like, right. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing? This is the weirdest advertisement thing. I'm fine with it, like for weird advertisements, but I'm like, you're just doing it for a secret layer.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting enough, I guess.
It's the Just Add Milk bundle of 3 cards, which is...
Yeah, I don't...
Yeah, they did a thing for that.
Well, I don't... See, I mean, this like, time trouble one, that's neat. They're old style cards.
Yeah.
It's cool.
So, I mean, it's a thing. If you're interested in any of them, check them out. See what cards are in them, honestly. Don't get the land ones. The land ones kind of suck.
Land ones are pointless.
Again, like...
They're never good, because lands are so fucking cheap.
It's like, it's one of each, too. I think that's
it's not a good amount of land.
Yeah, if it was just, like, 4 of each or something, even. So... those are things to check out if you want to. We can talk about something that was just released as of this week.
Oh shit!
Dragonlance is officially out.
Dragonlance. Oh no.
Yeah, the Dragonlance product line had its release date on the 6th.
Oh shit.
So,
I like Dragonlance. I've said this before. Dragonlance was the first setting I ever played in, so I have a very special place in my cold black heart for it. I don't know if I particularly will play the adventure because honestly, I don't really like 5th edition modules that much.
it's it's an interesting thing because they're like there's these like 3 products or like bundle of products. So we have the Shadow of the Dragon Queen, and then they also have a Warriors of Krynn board game.
Yeah, the board game I don't care about personally.
But they're like
it's a genre of board game I like. I just don't really care about it.
Yeah. They're like, you can use it to run your game's massive battles. And I'm like, what?
Massive battle in 5th edition isn't fun.
Massive battle in any edition doesn't tend to be very fun.
No, it takes a lot to learn and it's never fun for the first time you do it.
That's why I'm really thankful. I was looking at the ship combat.
It's so simple.
It's so simple.
In Buccaneers.
Yeah.
Compared to what actual mass combat is.
Yes, they're just like, here's something simple that you can run.
Watered down version. Yeah, like, I haven't heard anything about this yet. I'm not seeing like reviews or anything for it. Because again, I don't follow a lot of D&D YouTubers.
Yeah. Thing is, like, that's the thing I don't do either. Like, I think I probably should check out a few people, but it's sort of like I don't know who to check out. Like, when I first started and was doing a lot more Magic-related stuff, I ran into a lot more, like, here's a list of Magic YouTubers and Magic people here in places that, like, I check out their stuff once in a while. People like, like I can't remember some of the other, like, the old names off the top of my head, but, because I forget things. And I don't see stuff very often.
The thing that concerns me really cool. with doing Dragonlance specifically is at least for D&D Adventure, Dragonlance is effectively it's a war story.
Yeah.
It's not typical D&D. Because it's about the War of the Lamp, which was a really fucking destructive war where like thousands of people died.
I think.
I don't know. It's got good. It's got decent reviews on Amazon. It's got like a 3.7, which is it's about what D&D modules get.
I was gonna say like, when Worm said that he saw a way to run mass combat, it makes me think of I could probably take Buccaneers mass combat and apply it to a physical army version of it too.
Most likely. All I remember is when I did mass combat in 5th edition, it took us 6 hours.
Oof.
It wasn't fun.
Yeah, that's not great. I'm sure people have come up with better rules.
We used because mass combat rules don't actually exist in 5th edition. They've never officially been printed. There's a UA for it that's really bad.
Yay, UAs. Thank you for that, Wizards. For trying.
Yeah, we never did mass combat again after that one session.
I guess you just have to find some kind of system that works, and that's the thing is like, I really hate to say it, I've looked at and tried to do mass combat in other editions and stuff, and it always is very clunky and hard to get down in an interesting way.
I don't ever do mass combat. The way I do things mainly is just like, hey, PCs, there's a big ass battle around you, but you're not really involved in that. You're involved in this much smaller battle over here that's in the middle of this big battle, and maybe like on initiative 20 something weird will happen.
The only thing I can say that ever was good that came out of running a mass combat is that I had someone with a straight face say the following line: "My cavalry explodes into their rear."
Nice.
And it's sort of like, you just start thinking about that, you're like, you don't... Thank you for saying that.
Nice. I mean, D&D is like, it makes you say things you really shouldn't or would never say previously. I've had to say so many things to DM that are just so weird.
I certainly have had a few of those moments where I've taken a step back and have been like, what the hell did I just say?
Yeah, no, it happens a lot, especially with my Thursday group.
Paizo has announced something, and this is related to Paizo's organized play. So if you do Starfinder or Pathfinder organized play, great. So bounties have been the thing that they've been doing since 2020, which are sort of like their little standalone adventures, but they want to do bigger things. So they're coming. They used to do these. They're doing actual like quests that are. Because you can get these. You get the Pathfinder Society scenarios and the Starfinder Society scenarios. I do have some. I've gotten some through Humble Bundles. I've gotten some previously. When a friend had a bunch of, PDFs he had gotten, he gave me some of them. So, like, I have a few of these scenarios, and you can run these scenarios, and they're basically, like, general adventures and stuff for, like, various levels. It's nice to have something bigger than just a small, maybe one-shot.
Yeah.
Because certainly if you're playing in the organized play, the one-shot kind of format's a little better. But if I want to interpret these for, let's say, an adventure I'm running for friends, just as a casual thing and not part of the organized play, but use that, yeah. So... Yep. Bigger adventures, more stuff. It's cool. I'm glad they're differentiating between like different levels of things, and having, it's more adventure-based product that they're putting out there, and I think that's a good thing. Where there's more like scenarios and adventures for people to run in. Granted, Paizo in their product vomit, but I feel like this is some of the better product on it. Just saying. Look. There are plenty of people that need a data kobold detective. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey. He was married to crime fighting. Sorry, I had to turn you down. It's great. And I hadn't realized this at the time when I was originally making the Sunday character. I was going to play a kobold bounty hunter, which is basically a detective. But I hadn't realized that I had already played that character, but I decided to play something else instead.
Sometimes you just run into that characters you've like already played, and you're like, wait a second, I played this before.
Wait a second, I've already done a kobold detective.
Yeah.
Which is a very specific thing.
I mean, I think that's why, like, more lately I've been trying to go, like, for very weird, outlandish things that are just, like, a little bit strange, because then I'm like, I probably haven't played this before.
Yeah, just a goblin with a bag of teeth.
With my parents' teeth, they died in the Great Fire.
Generic human. With 12s and all stats.
I love generic human. So... we had like a little holiday thing last week, and I did want to do like a holiday thing, but I found something that is a little bit more generic holiday, because it's a 5e that's more based on medieval folklore and a lot less any modern holidays. A Year Without Cinderclaws. So it's Cinderclaws, the Holiday Manticore.
Apparently. You know what? Fair enough.
And they have their own mythology for this, which is like one of the reasons I'm like, it's basically holiday theme, but you've made it that you could just, it's a lot more generic holiday, and that's good. Because I think it's one of the things is, people fall into traps of making a lot more like specific holiday thing based around our holidays, which is sort of fine, and some game worlds have like, I mean, like, there's, like, winter solstice things that you can have, but that's not like, the same as, like, a lot of the stuff we have.
The commercial version of Christmas is pretty generic. You could just slot that into basically anything.
You can, but I feel like it's too commercial, though.
I mean, it would definitely exist in in certain D&D worlds.
Eberron.
Definitely Eberron, or that one really capitalist country in Golarion.
Yeah.
Where they have the money king, who's the Pope. The Pope, who's the richest guy in the world.
Yeah, I love that country. Oh, it's so stupid. I love it. Yeah. So it's a they say low tier adventure for 5th edition. They got 80 pages, some maps, 10
I
monsters.
love the gingerbread man. You scroll down a little bit. They're fantastic.
The evil gingerbread man.
They're so good.
Partridge in a Pear Tree.
Yeah, that's really good as well.
Okay, it's even better than I thought.
Got some nice puns.
Yeah, the evil gingerbread man are wonderful.
I really do love them.
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, again, neat little things like this are fun for this holiday season, and it's sort of like I always consider like, oh, maybe I'll do like I did a holiday one shot the one year. These are the kind of things that make it easy to run one of those, like finding an adventure like this where I'm like, wow, I physically have an adventure I can run. Great.
Look, I've seen some Christmas adventures for like D&D and stuff, and you know, it doesn't always work.
No, it doesn't.
So I will say it was the best one I've seen was a bunch of players playing their own characters playing D&D on Christmas Day.
That's silly. So it's only got 3 days to go. Make sure to check it out.
It's funded. It's like,
yeah.
I like things like this. It's a cool $12 gets you it.
Yeah. And that includes the PDF and print on demand through Drive-Thru RPG. So you technically get PDF and physical, looks like. And for a couple dollars more, they've got like another adventure you can get too and stuff like that. So, check them out if you're interested. Fun little thing there. Hey, so I'm pretty sure we talked about the Hellboy RPG when it first was like going around.
I think we have talked about the Hellboy RPG.
Nightfall Games is going to actually be putting out an actual digital version of it now. So I think that was revolving around the Kickstarter before. So this is officially like someone has picked up the digital to like put it out there and get everything out. I guess beyond the Kickstarter, which is good. So there will be more options that if that's interesting to you and you want to play it, great. Hey, that's another thing that I almost forgot it existed. They had a Hellboy game at the Game Awards.
There was a Hellboy video game announced.
It's the same art style as like the original.
I like
comics.
Hellboy. I'm a big fan of the Hellboy. I like the 2 movies for on Perlman. I really like those. The new movie is pretty bad.
Yeah, the comics are supposed to be pretty good too. The original
comics are really good.
So I mean, like
one of the few comic series I've actually
read. It's Nightfall Games will be hosting a PDFs on there on the Drive-Thru RPG site that they have there. They're kind of making sure that the digital versions of this continue and are available. I'm guessing something was going on in the background that would have made it, kind of one of those things that might have disappeared from the internet unless someone
possibly, yeah.
Issues happen.
They're very common issues.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
So, if you're interested in it, it's good. So this was an interesting one. There is a Midwinter Vampires, which is a 5e campaign. I'll throw this out here on Kickstarter. Also funded, 20 days to go. It's for 3 to 5 players. I feel it's got that probably a little bit of D&D 30 Days of Night, because it's supposed to be like the longest night of the year kind of thing, but probably not like really like Alaska, it's 30 Days of Night kind of thing. And they've got like 3 vampire sects, and your players can align with these vampire sets or fight against them and stuff, so it's probably got a little bit of that, maybe a little bit of like Ravenlofty energy, a little bit of their own thing, but they're setting it in a kind of like, the wintry, cold kind of setting, so dark nights and stuff. Honestly, the idea that you can kind of side with the vampire groups seemed interesting. That it was like a little bit more negotiations than just, let's say, like, Strahd bad, very bad, get rid of him.
To be fair, though, if ever there was someone who is bad, probably Strahd.
Yeah, he kind of a jerk.
Yeah. He's just a dick.
Yeah. So, something to check out. If you're interested in that one. Have you ever wanted to play a social deduction game based on the French Revolution? The answer is yes. I think that statement's like one of those ones of like, probably not.
I'm just gonna let the silence linger on that one.
Look, I like a good social deduction game.
Chat, you want to play a game based on one of the most horrific exchanges of power in human history?
Lots of death. Look, I gotta be honest, I've played very lighthearted games based on the French Revolution. If you ever want to play one, play Guillotine. It is an actual game. It's very lighthearted. It is literally about you killing a bunch of people and collecting their heads for points.
It's a very fun game.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a social deduction game. It's about the Reign of Terror.
It's Mafia. Yeah. If you've ever played Mafia, you know how to play this. Congrats.
Mm-hmm.
I do maintain that Mafia is like the actual best party game ever played.
It's one of those ones that I've heard about and heard how it's played, and I've never had a chance to do it. But again, like,
have you ever played Have you ever played Town of Salem?
Yes.
Then you've played Mafia.
Okay, so it's basically the same. Okay.
Town of Salem is just a version of Mafia.
Okay, I thought it was. It's like one of those things that they sound
Mafia and Werewolf are the same game. They're just different names for each other.
Because I've played Werewolf before.
Yeah, they're just the same name for the exact same game.
So again, it's another type of thing: 6 to 14 players plus a narrator, which is hard to get together, but sometimes you can.
It's a really hard game to get together. It's why I prefer One Night Werewolf, because it's much easier to get that one together because it's a shorter game.
So honestly, it's one of those things is like, I understand it's a very good setting for that kind of thing, because it is a time where people were turning against each other a lot, and there was a lot of distrust.
The Reign of Terror is like one of the... It is a pretty awful time. It led to some awful things.
Yeah. They do have a digital version that they do provide. It looks like all.
It is nice.
That you can get, because it says here, registered rated version can be played remotely, as we did several times during pandemic lockdowns. Had a great time to do so. The digital version of the games will include one where a thought has been given to functionality and remote play. So I'm assuming either they have a way of doing it or something with that entire thing. But they do mention it, which is great, because, hey, guess what? It's very much easier getting 6 to 14 people online.
It is, when you don't have to go somewhere.
Yes. Look, this one... Okay, so I now I see. It is actually, like, supposed to be in the Mafia family.
Yeah, like, if you look at the cards and the victory conditions and what they do, yeah.
So,
it is just like Mafia.
If you're interested in checking out. Final thing I wanted to talk about was a game, because last week, I think I talked about, I might not have talked about it. It was with Joe, Eric, and Lee. Yeah, I forgot to talk about it. Well, on Wednesday, we played Lords of Vegas.
Ooh.
The week before.
Fancy.
Yeah, which is a tabletop game. We were originally going to do one of the D&D board games, but for whatever reason, they loaded up fine on my screen. And on everybody else's, they did not load. Even Joe, who had that copy of the game in his collection, for whatever reason, it just didn't load up for him. And it worked fine for me. So we did Lords of Vegas, which, if you do not know Lords of Vegas, it is a board game that is about building up the Vegas Strip. Everybody takes turns getting lots on the area near and on the Strip, and then you spend money to build up casinos. And there's a scoring thing. It's very random chance, because whatever card is drawn and they basically have, like, you can build certain colors of casino. The card will have a color on it. If your card is drawn, great, you got points and money. If it's not, you're out of luck. And it's how many of every card is in the deck, but the thing is, a quarter of the deck is not used because it's below the end of the game card. So you just don't know what's all going to be down there. It could be all of one card group by happen chance is down there. So, like, the one that seems like it's probably going to be drawn isn't. Anyway, it's a fun game. This is a Americana, which I did see at PAX Unplugged. I actually took a picture of it and sent it to Joe. So what it is, it's an expansion, and also it includes a 6-player base set.
Nice.
So normally the game is 1 to 4 players, so this will be like you can play it up to 6 players. That's always good. So it's an update on the base set, and then it's the brand new Americana expansion. Now, it comes with 4 new famous American casino cities to play in, with their unique rules and twists: Reno, Tombstone, Atlantic City, and New Orleans. And stretch goals may add more. So the idea is, like, you could play in different cities. Like, I guess it gives you, like, base maps, and you just use all the tiles and cards and stuff from the other things. And it's just, like, whatever map it has its own rules. And that's kind of neat. There was another Lords of Vegas expansion, which, that one is a little weird because it includes building higher in buildings. It actually has, like, a 3D version, like you're building up in buildings, and Joe looked at it, and he may own it, but I don't know. It's kind of, I never checked out how it worked. But again, it's neat. Having 6 players for the base game, I think that's pretty cool, because honestly, it expands it more. They've redesigned the money, which is great, because the new money appears to have pictures. That link is in chat? No, it's not. I'm sorry.
Link is not in chat.
There it is. I thought I put it in there and I didn't. The money used to have basically images of the Rat Pack on it. Now it's got images of the various casinos from the original, that were like the early casinos, like Albion, Pioneer, Sphinx, Tivoli. And they got cut like risers for the upset, and again, new cities to do. Oh yeah, like the Reno city looks kind of very different and interesting. So it's still got like a main thoroughfare, but it's kind of got things that are placed different. Atlantic City is very long, goes along the boardwalk. Okay, that's cool. And Tombstone doesn't really have the same kind of like center city. And New Orleans is it's kind of like opposite, because it's kind of got like the a center line opposite the Atlantic City one. So those new maps are pretty cool, because honestly,
good.
That adds a lot of life to your game.
Yep.
That you have different. You now have, instead of just the one way to play, which is fun, you have like 5 ways to play. So,
Yeah.
It is not funded, but it's pretty close to 13 days to go. Honestly, I would be surprised if it wouldn't get the rest of the way in 13 days, because it's 90% funded right now. But, if you want to wait, keep an eye out on it. I know people like sometimes to put their funding behind something that is funded rather than...
yeah, because guaranteed your product.
Yeah. So, yeah. And they've got various packs for all the combination of things, if you want to take a look at them. Including, like, your version of the base game, the expansion. You can just get the expansion alone if you already have the base game, all that kind of stuff. So, and everything for 170, but that's like the base game, the expansion, and another expansion, and a card pack. So that's a lot, but 170 is not bad for, like, a game and 2 big expansions and stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway, check it out if you wish to. So, we've reached that point in the time in our normal schedule where we'd have a discussion about something. Let's see here. Hey, I'm going to pull out just out of my butt one of these topics here and throw it here.
Is that where you keep it?
Usually. And it's actually something that kind of came up in some of our talkings before. And it's something that is what we do a lot of now. I'm going to do playing online versus playing in person.
Ah. Yeah.
It's a topic I threw on here and we just haven't talked about yet. And I think this is a very hard topic to talk about because, honestly, I do have to say, nowadays, playing online is almost needed a lot. Just how the world is.
Yeah.
But...
because, we had this whole pandemic thing.
And, it's difficult with life and things going on.
Yeah, it's a rough time for everyone.
But the problem is, I will never argue that playing in person is, in ways, better.
Yeah.
In ways it is worse. There are advantages and
disadvantages. In ways it can be worse. I personally prefer in-person D&D. However, it's very difficult to get out and do that these days.
Yeah.
Especially because my like a lot of my in-person group was in college, and many of them have moved away or joined the military. Yeah. I don't get to see them as often. Occasionally we do hang out and do a one-shot or something.
Yeah.
The thing with online is it's just easy. Just easy to schedule. You don't do anything fancy. You can just everyone get comfortable at their computer.
Yeah.
Just play D&D.
There is a disconnect between playing the game as role-playing between online and in-person, certainly. You can still role-play well online, but, like, you don't have things like being able to look at someone when you're talking to them directly.
Yeah. Thing with being online as well is, depending on what you're using, because you could use anything. You could just use Discord and, like, paper character sheets. Bam, you're playing online.
Yeah.
But if you're using, like, Roll20, there is an added layer of it's much more gamified because you have the map in front of you.
Yeah.
So you're almost playing a war game at that point.
I think the thing is, like, I'm going to use... Let's talk about Skulls and Shackles. Blaze, a friend of the show, person we played with, do stuff with, was running Skulls and Shackles for us. He got all the stuff, including the map packs for us. Because it's really, a lot of Pathfinder adventures are really built to use some kind of map.
Yes.
And that's the unfortunate thing is, setting that up in real life is not easy.
Pain in the ass.
It's one of the reasons that something like, 4th edition failed as much as it did.
Yep.
Because 4th edition, even more than Pathfinder, even more than 5th edition, even more than any other edition, needs a map.
Yes.
And since it's digital component, didn't come, it wasn't there.
Never released.
It just wasn't working right.
Oh.
So Roll20 giving you maps is one of the best things it can give.
Yes.
I think digital character sheets also are very nice in a way.
Yeah. It's nice that everything is kind of done for you.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, like all the calculations and stuff. It cuts down on the counting and such things. Like one of the big things, because I am a big Pathfinder player, and that's what most of my in-person experience is. The numbers in Pathfinder get very big. You need to do a lot of math. Hell, just like doing what fucking Yakul does in person, that level of damage, that's a lot of math.
Dice rolls. I like rolling dice.
I do like the physical dice.
But having a dice roller sometimes can be nice too. It's sort of like the catch-22 of like, if I'm just rolling a d20, I'd probably prefer it in real life. If I'm rolling fireball damage...
God, like sometimes you gotta roll like 12 d8s.
Yeah. Even like, I'm sorry, even 5d6. You gotta do math in your head there right away.
I don't own a lot of dice.
Yeah.
I only own like 2 sets. So, what I would have to do if I'm playing like a high-level wizard or something, I have to like roll that die many times and keep a mental note of how much the number's going up by each time.
I think it's also the thing that like you feel more in control of your luck in a way when you're rolling the dice rather than you're rolling on something that's relying on an algorithm to roll the die. And I understand that feeling, like, as, you know, I complain about, like, the stupid die rolls in Wrath of the Righteous. The reason I haven't complained about it lately is when you get to high level, those numbers don't matter as much.
Yeah. When you have plus 30s and shit, it doesn't matter. Like, I talked about this a little bit in our group chat. In Buccaneers, I use a touch-based weapon. I have a plus 17.
Yeah.
I have to roll a 1 to miss anything, basically. Most things don't have above an 18 touch AC.
Yeah. There's a couple of exceptions, but most of those are, it's like, there's a couple of creatures that just, their touch AC is their AC. Yeah. And those tend to be the exceptions, but they're not that many.
They're rare.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, in person's a lot harder to schedule. That's definitely
scheduling in person is very difficult.
If I wanted to schedule my old gaming group, I would have to make sure, because I would have to have an extra hour of time no matter what I schedule. Yeah. And because, for me, and for most of us, half an hour drive. Joe, myself, half an hour drive. Now, granted, like, one of the centralized locations, which would be at, like, Blaze's place, because he's got a furnished basement. Another friend of ours, the one that runs our Pathfinder 2nd Edition, lives in a condominium on her own. She could clean up the place have guests over, you know, and set up for role-playing game. Both of those places are close to each other. They live close to each other. They're like the only people that live close to each other. The rest of us are like half an hour of drive.
Nice thing about when I was doing in-person stuff, which was back in college, admittedly. It has been a while. We would just play in, like, the common room.
Yeah.
We just play in the university common room. It was really nice. Because we were all fucking there every day anyways. So,
yeah.
We would just pick our D&D day and play. There was not much travel time needed, but nowadays I'd have to travel like an hour.
I will agree, like Worm has pointed out, traveler sheets are pretty bad.
Yes, there are some really bad sheets on Roll20.
You can get some very good ones. Like, I feel like the 5e1...
The 5e1 Pathfinder 1st Edition ones are really good.
Yeah.
Pathfinder 2nd Edition needs a little work, but it mechanically functions.
But there are some then, like...
Yeah.
Like,
the best one is horrendous.
The best one's horrendous. Hey, vampire. I had to use a much older vampire one. It was still pretty bad, but it functioned.
Yeah.
You know, it functioned a lot better than the newer vampire sheets. I looked at them. It was, like, so stupid that, like, the newer sheets were worse than the old sheets when it came to vampire.
The cyberpunk sheets are pretty terrible.
You're beholden to that.
Yeah.
And I think Worm brings up something that is actually a catch-22, because this is something that I actually faced a lot of in in-person gaming too. Keeping attention.
Yeah.
Like, granted, if I'm at a computer, I could be listening to something in the background while the game is playing. I could be... Some people have played little games or something. Like, like, if your character doesn't do anything, I can understand it, especially, like, oh, you have something open, you're playing something sometimes. But the thing is, like, you try to pay attention, but the thing is, like, things happen, too, when you're... Like, as soon as phones were invented, people were on their goddamn phones. And even if they're not on the phones, like... people are, like, just twiddling around, drawing something.
Yeah.
Years ago, out of high school, I had a friend. You know what she did? She was an artist. She drew stuff. Nice. She, like, would make illustrations of her characters. She, like, had a character that she, like, drew, like, 10 different outfits for her character that was for different points in times. Yeah. But she was doing that, and it's a distraction, and, it's sort of
like, no matter what, people are gonna be distracted. Because there are times where, admittedly, you're not really doing anything. Someone else is seeing. I
will never deny, online, it's so much easier to get distracted.
It's a lot easier to get distracted. I mean, like, fuck, I get distracted to DM sometimes. Because, like, on my computer... Windows is like, you have an email now. You should look at it.
I try not to a lot, but sometimes, like, when you, especially like, say Buccaneers, when you guys are having like a half an hour discussion that does not involve me or
half an hour discussion about something completely pointless that doesn't matter.
Even if it matters or not, it doesn't involve me as the DM or me as an NPC run by the DM. I'm just there and, like, it's like, what are you talking about? Great, okay, I have to sort of figure this out.
I mean, look, I fucking... Wrath.
Wrath was the worst.
I played Final Fantasy when I was a player in Wrath, because I didn't do anything. So I was like, I'll just grind some shit out in Final Fantasy 14 for 3 hours.
You know what I did is I would go down Google and Wikipedia rabbit holes on the area you were in Magic, so I could make up. So I could make myself maybe like, is there something I want to add? Is there something I want to edit? Things like that. So I just start reading up on stuff on your area that you were in. Like, oh, you're in Llanowar. Let's like do some research on some stuff. Do I have to do it ahead of time? No, something's going to happen. I can do it in the middle of this.
Yeah.
It happened a lot. Like, Yeah.
It's very easy to get distracted online, especially because, like, everything... There's a quote, I think it's from Bo Burnham. Basically, like, everything online is fighting for just trying to just monopolize your brain. Everything wants your attention online. And that's a big problem with doing D&D online, because you have so many distractions in front of you.
Yeah. It becomes this thing that I think it's both very good and very bad, and like I think it's sort of like, I will agree, I would really love to do some more in person. Like, the thing is, I could probably only do it once a week, though, is the other thing, too. Like, I think it's the catch-22 with, like, online games. I am currently, and this is on my low side, playing in 2, one of which is going to end tomorrow, and running 1. I was, like, running 3 games.
Yeah.
I could not run 3 games in person.
No. Like, it's more work. It's more work to run an offline game as well. There's more setup involved.
Yes, I think, like, for me, being able to create NPC character sheets is so wonderful, and like, I have to say,
very nice.
It's one of the reasons I've been really liking Pathfinder First Edition. The encyclopedia or whatever they have for Drag and Drop goes up to Bestiary 3.
Nice.
That's so good, because that is like, 90% of the monsters any of these adventures will have, I can just drag and drop them. Now, there are some issues, like some of the things they just mention what they are and they don't drag properly. Like feats, you can't look at what they all do and stuff. Yeah. So
some stuff doesn't work, but
but I know they have that. All their numbers are there. It's the spells also like they just exist and you have to like still look them up. But at very least, it's something you can reference that I don't have to have a page or like another website open for. Managing monsters and NPCs.
Managing initiative.
Oh.
A lot easier online. You have a track. Initiative in real life is annoying.
There's so many ways to try to manage it, and they all are like a catch-22.
Yeah.
It's a thing that I think on a social and personal level, the in-person will always be better.
Yes.
But on that like technical level, you can never get over the technical advantages that will always exist online.
Yeah, and nowadays you can do a hybrid of both.
Yeah.
That's the big thing about nowadays.
Yeah, because honestly, I could have like a freaking laptop open and like have a lot of stuff.
Yeah, like you could have a Roll20 page 4 rolling in your game and have the rest of it in person.
Yeah. I
know people who do that.
So like hybridization, you have to have the setup for it, but it's another good one. And I think the other thing I was going to say is one of the things I really do enjoy is I only have to give someone one sheet per character too.
Yes.
Because I will tell you, if you play a game like Skulls and Shackles, let's give that as an example. It goes to like level 15.
Yep.
If I given Yakul a sheet and told him go up to level 15 on a paper sheet, he would most likely have more than one sheet. Because every level, your numbers change. And you have to erase stuff.
I have played games where I've had to have just a lot of character sheets for a lot of different things. Because I played a summoning character.
No.
I've played a summoning character in person before.
Yep.
It's a lot. You need a lot of sheets to do that.
I remember my one friend who played a summoner. They decided I'm just going to use my Eidolon all the time. So they said 2 sheets.
I had greatly simplified it to, alright, what's the best elemental I can summon at this level? This one? Okay. I don't need any more sheets. Just can summon elementals.
Yep. I've had characters, because I've had some high-level campaigns that I've had 3 sheets at least that I had to go through, because they get worn out. And, God.
My Wrath of the Righteous Cleric, I think I had 5 sheets because it's a mythic adventure.
Yep. The mythic ones were bad. Those definitely get up there and having to erase a lot of stuff and redo them.
Campaign took 2 years. My Shadowrun campaign I was in, I had so many fucking sheets because I was building robots and stuff. Because I was the rigger, so I did the drones and things, so I needed drone sheets and stuff.
Yep. You get robots and vehicles and all that kind of stuff, and you have to have separate sheets for them and all that kind of things. And like, it is so much easier to do those things online because it's easier to manage those sheets. You don't have to erase stuff as the same way. You just like click buttons to edit things. You're not like using up pencils and lead and stuff like that. Which I mean, you can live with it. It's fine.
Yeah.
But again, humans have to have interaction with other interactions. I think that's the big thing that's great about in person is really that social dynamic that you're physically meeting with other people a lot more.
Another thing that doesn't get talked about a lot with online, Discord delay. There's usually about a 2 to 2 second delay on Discord. So you can very easily talk over each other. Yeah.
You have to be kind of careful of that. I think, there is certainly like advantages always like cost-wise, I'm going to say.
Yeah.
This is the thing. It is much cheaper to play online.
It is. Yeah, you have everything pretty much like just in front of you.
Yeah, but I mean, not really. It's always nice. Like, for one thing, like, let me list the things that you have to have for a physical game.
Mhm.
You're probably going to want a physical book. At least one.
Yeah.
You know.
You don't want a DMG in a bestiary.
Yeah. DMG, bestiary, whatever system, you know, like, or like, even if it doesn't have a bestiary, you're probably going to at least need 1 or 2 books, depending on the system. You're going to need those physical sheets, which you're either printing out yourself or, like, going to some place to get printed. Pencils. Hey, you spent gas to get there. Did you're gonna have to know the situation for food and water, drinks, you know, all that kind of stuff, because sometimes it gets provided, sometimes you have to bring stuff, and sometimes, like, you know, for drinks, sometimes you bring stuff. I always brought drinks, you know.
Yeah, I always had water with me when
and
I would always either bring water for myself or drinks, sodas for people.
And a lot of times it's like, sometimes I'd eat ahead of time, but if we're gonna be playing for like 6 hours, because we get once a week, you know, and we're driving to a place in the first place and using the gas money to drive there, because gas has always been expensive for like the last freaking 2 decades.
Yeah, pretty much.
I remember when it wasn't expensive. When I started driving, it was pretty cheap, and then all of a sudden, things got very expensive very quickly. I was like, why is gas now 4 times the price of what it was?
Oh, yeah, baby. Bush era.
Bush era, gas prices accelerated heavily than what they were. And you can't, and you know, it's not it's not like gentle inflation. That was not it.
No, it was just a sharp increase.
It was a huge increase, and it never went back down. It's always kind of been up and down. But anyway,
It's always been expensive.
Gas is expensive. Like, you know, half an hour driving, half an hour back. You know, like even 15 minutes both ways. You're using up a good chunk of gas. Yeah. And again, food. If I'm there for 6 hours, I might get hungry. I might need snacks. Yeah. Or, you know, maybe I'll order takeout or something. I did that a lot when I was doing in person. I'd always get, like, you know, maybe I'd get a pizza or something, you know, for myself. And, like, you know, maybe I'd share it with people or some Chinese or something.
It's expensive to do D&D. Because, like, you don't necessarily need maps and miniatures and stuff, but it helps a lot in person. I mean, you don't need them. I remember we had a game of Pathfinder where where a spare shoe was a red dragon.
Yep. I had the jug of vinegar as a Dracolich.
Yeah.
With like because we had a couple of like small miniatures, and so we had like the little like evil wizard miniature that had like, you know, summon his Dracolich minion. Yeah. We just put it on top of the jug of vinegar, and it was like it sat there really nicely.
Very common. Our character miniatures were just like pieces of paper in a little stand that just had our character name on it.
You know, and like
that's what you gotta do. You know.
We fortunately, like, I have to say, one of the things that was really nice is the Dungeons & Dragons miniature game from back in the day. One of the great things that gave anybody that played it is if you got any of the starter sets from the original set, each one came with a fold-out grid board.
Yep.
And that's just really good, because to this day, like, if we would still do in person, we'd probably pull out one of those grid boards, throw it down, because it's the 1-inch, you know, square boards that most miniatures fit on, you know, and there you go. You don't even have to build walls. You can just put things in places. Sort of like those like generic maps that sometimes you throw out on Roll20. Yeah. You're just like, put yourselves over here.
Close enough.
It's close enough. You know, it's just the white area with a border and some grids, some stuff thrown on it like that you have. Call it a day.
Because when we did our in-person, we had our rollout whiteboard that had the grid on it. We would just draw in the stuff with a marker if we needed walls and such.
Blaze had like a really nice, like, kind of type of like grid that was like really high quality that he was trying to use and stuff. Like
the most helpful thing for our in-person sessions was my friend's box of Betrayal at Baldur's Gate or Murder Hill House or whatever, that game, which has just the tile dungeon you build. Yeah, that was really helpful.
Yeah,
that was like the best thing, because we just had, here's some board game tiles, We need a city. Sure, this is city tiles.
I will pull one of these out. They're a little beat up now because I mean time and space and stuff. But these were some of the older ones. But the box here is really beat up, just because I kind of got it stuck under kind of stuff most of the time. But in here I have. Look, I never know when I need this, but I have a werebear.
Hey,
that's what I pulled out first.
You never know.
So these were the collectible D&D miniatures. You know how useful these have been for, like, in person? Like, you can just either, like, improvise some of them that are close enough, or just, like, I can pull out some weird shit like this werebear. Or, what the fuck is this? Fiendish Direwolf. See, like, I can just pull these out, and it's like, they're helpful to have.
The best one of the things... Because me and my friends, we were all into Warhammer and such, so we did have mates. However, they were all Warhammer, so not really D&D. There was the time when we fought I think it was a Death Knight or whatever, and it was just a Space Marine.
Yeah, I can see that. He's having a Space Marine.
Just put a Space Marine on the table. Yeah, he's a Death Knight.
Yeah, so 2016, 78%. I mean, I can understand that.
In person is still very popular. But with the pandemic, online shot up in popularity quite a bit.
Yeah, I'd be curious how it looks now in comparison to 2016.
Especially because the virtual tabletops have gone so much better.
Yeah, because, like, I gotta be honest. If you mentioned, like, a virtual tabletop to me in 2016, I wouldn't have heard of any of these.
I would be like, that's dumb.
Yeah. While, like, there are so many virtual tabletops, and they're getting much better. Roll20 again, I like it just because it's very generic and simple.
Yeah, I didn't use Roll20 till, like, 2018. That's when I started using 20.
But I also know, like, it's not the best. It's sort of like that catch-22 of it works.
Free one.
It's the free one. I technically do have the subscription just because I like it.
I mean, I do because I like the space.
I do very image-heavy games, so yes, the space is nice.
Yeah, I use a lot of NPC images, so...
you know, I'm not comfortable deleting a bajillion images from on there until you guys are actually done.
Yeah, when
Buccaneers.
The game is over, I'm like, alright, I just mass delete all these fucking pictures. I don't need them. Right?
A lot of them just don't have pictures, unfortunately.
I mean, yeah, I still have fucking shit from the Cyberpunk game uploaded that I need to get rid of.
Like, I have it on my computer organized somewhere if I really needed it, but, like, yeah. But, yeah, it's so interesting that, like, it's like, pick your poison, I guess, is the best way I can say it, is you can have a preference either way, and it doesn't really matter what the preference is, except to you. You know, that's your personal opinion. But, you know, taking it from that logistics and all that kind of stuff's sake, it's what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for me, currently with online versus offline is, there's two things. One, online, sometimes I have to get up, stretch my legs. I can't reply during that time. The other time is, I am an adult. I'm a very stressed person. I have this cool thing that makes my brain sad. So I sometimes just don't want to get dressed and go outside. So online D&D helps a lot with that. Because I can just look like shit in my pajamas.
I have very nice kind of like around the house kind of pants that I can wear. That are very comfortable, very loose, but are, you know, decent enough that you can have it around other people. That's what I wear majority of the time around the day, because I'm in a household with a bunch of people. But it means that I've got these nice, very comfortable. I can't wear these into the world. They're not world pants.
No, they're not.
They're around the house pants, you know?
Yes. I can't wear slippers and pajamas outside. That's ridiculous. I mean, people do.
It's wintertime, so I am in socks all the time. I can kind of have the tip of my sock get up here. Hi, sock tip. Because my feet get cold all the time, so... you know, I will be in socks all year. Well, this time of year, the entire time until it gets warm enough not to have them.
Yep.
So, I'm in socks, loose pants. You know, a nice shirt. I feel okay. I'm comfortable. Pants. I've got fairly comfortable pants, but still, they're like you're in pants and stuff,
Most
you know.
of mine are like cargo pants or like slacks, because I have spent a majority of my adult life as a line cook. So I very much have line cook attire, which is not comfortable.
Yeah. I got like simple like black like pants that are just like the pants because they're like I can't do like things like jeans or anything anymore. That was
I can't wear jeans.
That was my like
it's so uncomfortable.
There's sort of like some of my teenage years was jeans, and I was a big fan of jeans, and they're not comfortable. There was a point in time where I'm like, I realized these aren't comfortable. Why wear them? But I think the thing is, even if you're the most comfortable you want to be, you're still going to be less comfortable out in the world, you know?
Yes, the world is big and scary. And also cold. And if I get cold, I can just grab my blanket.
Again, I think this is the big thing about it, is that it's the interaction with people and the fun you have, because it is fun and it's a very different experience. You have to be willing to take all the extra steps for it and extra money for it and all those things. And if you're willing for that, it is a great experience to play with people.
The nice thing with Buccaneers is most of us use a webcam.
Yeah.
So we can see each other. I would be using a webcam, but mine fucking broke and I don't have the money to replace it right now.
Yeah, it's the catch-22 of it, you know. I think it's the one thing that I think is good is to have something like... I never have forced webcam on people, but
like it. I don't have it in my game, but I like it. I like having it on because if I don't, I'm just miming and looking like a dumbass in front of a computer.
I feel like also... I think that's another thing is, if you're on a webcam, it does help you draw a little bit away from that distractions a little bit, too. Because, like...
Look at your face.
You can see the face of the people and see what they're doing a little bit more and things like that, you know. It does help take a step back from distraction. Like, honestly, like, if I wanted to, like, you know, quickly check my phone here for, like, you know, messages or something, you can kind of see the reflections in my eyes that I'm, like, doing some kind of quick check. But, you know, usually sometimes I do that, especially during here, because you never know when something comes up. And honestly, I think, you know, I haven't had many emergencies over these years of here, but sometimes stuff comes up and you want to. And then maybe I'll, like, you know, check to see if there's any, like, random Pokemon that showed up, because I'm hardly addicted to Pokemon Go. Look, I've never denied I'm hardly addicted to Pokemon Go. It is, it's because it's better than most addictions I could have.
At least it's not costing money.
A little bit, but like I've split those prices over the year pretty well. Yeah. Like maybe it's less than Magic cards. But I only buy like 2 or 3 boxes a year nowadays, so like it's still less than that. So over the course of a year, not bad. But you know, I also then played free to play for a billion years too, and I can always go back to that if I really wanted to. Not as easy because you know you kind of get a set in ways of stuff, but I could do that. Anyway, should we talk about our week in gaming? Because I think that's a pretty good place to hit up to talk about the differences between that. Because I think like
game things.
Yeah, we didn't do Sunday.
Sunday was a miss.
I got back late anyway, and then...
I got back late, and I think Jay
was busy. Yeah, so... I had Monday with Traveler, with Worm, which actually went pretty well. We have our mining vessel. We got rid of the psychic kid that we kind of had rescued. We let her off with some other psychics. We got off the space station, even though the cops tried to mess with us again, and I sassed the cops because really, I'm honestly, I feel like my character would just be pissed off at that lady.
That's fair.
He's not normally sassy, but like government officials.
That isn't sassy. What the fuck?
I know. He just doesn't like people that are kind of jerks, and kind of didn't look well down on the authorities of the station. Granted, the authorities of the station I think had really good right for what it is. It's just like he's probably very antisocial too. Probably. I see him as the guy who went and spent, a decade as a space explorer because he was on his own for a decade.
Ah.
Yeah. So then we took our new ship and we experimented with space travel.
How'd that go?
It went okay. We made our rolls, and after we were all was said and done, we decided that unless something important was coming up and it was like an emergency while we were trying to do this, we would not be rolling it again.
Fair.
But we tested out the system. It was a system with a lot of rolls,
That's a problem with stars. Is it's a lot of rolling for space travel, but you can take things where you just don't have to roll.
Yeah, I mean, again, we just defaulted to we have some of the skills, we're just not gonna bother, and as long as we make good choices and don't get to emergency.
Stars is worse because if you just roll badly, there's a small chance your ship can just explode.
We apparently didn't have that, but we had a chance that if we rolled really badly enough, you could be stuck between the stars, and unfortunately, our ship only really normally has enough fuel for one jump. So...
Nice.
Yeah, it's just and again, as Worm was saying, the outcome most of the time for a lot of these rolls is you just take more time.
Yeah, the stars chart for fucking up rolls is it's too brutal.
At least the Traveler one, it's a little nicer that way. There's a lot less of a chance of something catastrophic. Not that it couldn't happen, but again,
there was a game years ago, and it was my first experience with Stars Outnumbers, where we just kept rolling really badly, and we had just 3 sessions of being lost in space until we eventually rolled good enough to get back to a planet. It just pissed me off.
Well, it was the thing of our ship, because we have enough fuel to make one jump. We either have to buy fuel of every place we jump to, or we do have a thing where we can get stuff from a gas giant.
Yeah.
But the thing is, the stuff with the gas giant, if you fail, the bad stuff is you just failed. You have to try again, and it takes time. And we were looking at it, and the thing is I guess if we really have time constraints, it's important. But if not, it's just time consuming.
Yeah.
So
it's just time.
We're technically getting to where we need to be, which is a giant derelict ancient space warship that apparently someone hid a key on that we have to recover.
Fancy.
And we're assuming because we have to figure out where he hid it on there, because the place is there's a little colony area of scavengers, but a lot of it is because there's a giant massive asteroid-sized ship, a lot of it's still got security systems, and it's if you go in there to salvage, you have to face the dangers that are there, but people do that still. But so we're stopping by the little salvagers colony on the safe area, where it's if you go outside of that, probably not going to find a lot of stuff. But we also might not salvage. We don't know. We're at least getting the key, because
that's fair enough.
If we get this key, deliver it to someone, it pays off half of our ship.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. We were okay with that. Financing 50% of our ship was a great idea.
Yep.
Did you have Tuesday?
Good Tuesday. We went to my home planet. Character found out that there is a big heresy going on with my faction. And I got promoted to an Inquisitor and told to go hunt down heretics and such. So I got a big fancy upgrade. I don't think anything else really happened aside from that. Because it was a lot of talking and just getting paid for jobs we'd already done. And it was kind of shopping session. I don't remember what we're doing next. Yeah, it was kind of like a down session.
Okay.
Which
Cool.
you kind of need those in that system because you just do a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
We had the season premiere of Buccaneers.
Buccaneers.
I feel like the Pirate Council went very interesting and well. Like,
well, we did a politic.
because the thing is, like, it is politics, and like the way it's written can be very dry.
Yeah.
Because it's like it is supposed to be like 5 simple decisions that have weird little ramifications here and there, but like with all your stuff and describing and things, it made it better.
I am curious, how many of those are baked into the adventure?
I'm going to tell you,
more than one.
All of them have an effect. I can tell you the basic effect. The first one was you got more money. That was it. The second choice, which was the statues.
Statues, which would have made mercs and selling worse.
Yep. The third one would be if you raided that tower and didn't pay a tithe to the guy, it would piss him off.
Yeah, and he'd probably hate us.
And then, like, I have a list of places where he could turn against you later on, which is kind of my option. Like, again, one of them is helping out Harrigan. It's not the only one that he could, like, if you depends on when you like. He's very hot-headed, you know, of the company. The fourth one, the bounty one. Honestly, that doesn't make a huge difference, I don't think. If the bounty's on him, you can claim the bounty. If it's not, the thing is, because when you negotiate with him, Harrigan wants to have a bounty, and he's against Harrigan. If the bounty got on him and you side with him to help him out, you're helping a fugitive.
Yeah.
So it's the catch-22 of that one, And then the last one, I can tell you directly something you didn't, you avoided is, if you don't get rid of the spies, you guys are aware that there are some cellist influence for Harrigan. He can call in a favor and get an extra squadron of people that he can't now.
So he made the coming battle a little easier.
Technically, it's not easier. It's the same as it was. It gets harder if you don't do that one.
Oh, okay. All right, now I get it. Okay.
So it's sort of like if you don't fight spies, it gets harder.
Okay.
It's like the obvious thing of, if you don't do this obvious, really great idea, it gets harder.
Yeah.
Granted, they do make a bunch of them hard to do, with very high DCs, but if you have enough...
Statues one was like a DC 30.
Yeah, because, like, as soon as, like, the guy was like, let's do statues, because someone suggested it, everybody went with him, because there was only one person that wanted to actually go against him. You know.
It's the dumbest fucking thing.
He is so arrogant, Bone Fist. Yeah.
I thought that kind of whole mechanic was interesting.
It is a very interesting mechanic. I don't know if we'll have a chance to revisit it. I have to check Adventure 6.
I feel like because we're gonna be going to war, and that's not because these meetings happen once a month apparently.
I said that, but they don't really give me a time frame.
It would make sense for them to be once a month because it's regular meetings for government shit.
And then again,
but
like
probably more like every few months.
Yeah, maybe every few months or something. Because again, like, not everybody has to be there, and a lot of them, even if they work out of places, tend to be around Port Peril anyway. So it's sort of like the ones that showed up are the ones that tend to be there normally anyway, because they can be, or their travel time is not that bad, so they can get there and back and do a lot of other business. There's surprisingly a lot of members of the council that just goddamn don't show up ever.
They're pirates. They don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's definitely interesting. It would be. I do wonder if it will come up again.
The thing is, I haven't checked the 6th Adventure. I know kind of what happens in the 6th Adventure, but I haven't read up on it. Like, the details.
Yeah, and then we're gonna go help Aeronox with some slander. Which I wanted to do. Gallic's friend.
The thing is, you guys... your Chelix connection and him made it very easy to introduce that, because I have I kind of have places where I can introduce that, but I could introduce that like right away, very easily.
Yeah.
You know, sort of like, hey, here's a big old interesting option that you can do right away.
Yeah. I think it makes sense for him to approach the former Inquisitor.
Yeah. And then, like, as I said, like, this part here, I have this, the island, the place where, you know, you have to go get to Harrigan's former first mate, and then the, like, exploration place. And those are the ones that I've got, like, written down for things. But, like, I don't have stuff on the Tritons. If you want to look for the Tritons, I will give you bonuses for that. That's a cool idea.
Because we have the thing to help Tritons, so we might as well, right?
Yeah. No, see, like, that's a really cool idea, because, you know, like, that's calling on a group that could help you out and stuff.
Because we befriended what's his face, and he gave us
Mace,
a thing.
Yeah.
Triton stuff.
Yeah.
Jacob is, I think, half sea elf.
Yeah. So like, I do like how they do talk about like that. You know, they give me some specific fleets from NPCs, but they're like, yeah, just there's a couple of different types of ships. If you want some of these other NPCs to be friends that you found and stuff, to have fleets. Here's what they could have, you know, like, you know, these kind of ships. Go ahead and, you know, whatever your PCs have found for friends, you know, over the times.
We've made a lot of friends, shockingly, with Yakul in charge.
It has been, like, one of those things is... when Yakul wanted to piss off that guy, like, just talk about that. It's just
We're
like...
not going to let him talk anymore. He doesn't get to speak.
I was like, why are you insulting him so much?
Why? What did he ever... He didn't do anything to you.
Well, the thing is...
He was drugged.
I'm like, yeah, he was drugged. Maybe he has, like, behavior that's like that.
He might still be a dick, but he was drugged.
Yeah.
The sex drug.
He was given basically, like, a super... aphrodisiac. That's gonna mess you up no matter what. And especially if you're a goddamn werewolf that probably fights against, you know, losing control anyway. Like, he probably loses control in battle a lot. The thing is, he's a pirate lord and knows to try to keep control. It's probably one of the things he fights against in his normal life is to keep enough control to be reasonable as his position, you know? It's gone when he's kind of super drugged up.
Yep.
He's probably not a nice guy, but honestly, did not deserve the hatefulness of Yakul.
Like, Eric needs to chill.
Ugh.
Save it for the actual enemy.
Yeah. You have real enemies you can sass the shit out.
It's all Harrigan.
Yeah. Have anything on... You had your game on Thursday?
I had my game on Thursday. The party delved into some cool ruins. Ooh. They fought some horrible shadow-corrupted monsters. With some interesting abilities. They're basically monsters. They can sense life up to 300 feet. So basically, like, if you're in a dungeon, they're just going to detect you because you're a living creature. So it's a monster that removes the option of stealth, which I think is interesting. And they found some hints to some world stuff that I've been hinting at that'll connect to a secondary game. Because they are in a plane... They're basically in the plane of Shadow, which has been renamed to, like, the Void. But they don't know it yet. And the Void is something that's been mentioned a lot. So it's like, if you know, we're dealing with Void stuff on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's connecting to a lot of stuff from past games, so I'm dropping some hints for that. And then they found out, although I think some of them assumed this already, the two people they've been traveling with are planar travelers, looking for something on the plane they're on.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're gonna go to another city, get some information, try to find a lost mithril mine, and then head back to their main town to do downtime after that.
Cool. I'm guessing Cell probably didn't have their game because of...
canceled because Cell had, I think it was finals. It was either finals or a project.
It sounded like this week was finals week because
yeah,
finals are supposed to be done.
December.
Yeah, and finals are supposed to be done by next Wednesday's like the last one. So it'll be like
Yeah,
when we have the game next week, it'll be like right after finals are done.
It was completely understandable to cancel.
God. Oh, I don't miss finals. I'm gonna say
that. On Tuesday next week will be our last session of Stars for 2 weeks because we won't have it on session until the 3rd due to holiday rush, and most of us work retail.
Well, we're done tomorrow. Is the last day of Lightning's game too, right?
Yeah, I think the 11th is going to be the last session, and then there's going to be a nice break before anything else is run. Yeah, so it'll just be a game will finish, and then we'll have some nice chill time to think of stuff.
Honestly, that's what it's good for me because I really have to like dedicate myself to think about like, as much as I like being in offline games, I really should like restrict it to just like maybe one and then like plan for some online stuff because like, it's one of those things. Is like I have a technical job of running tabletop stuff online, so I've got.
You are a professional DM, so you do have to do that.
I got to do more of it.
Yeah, because I know I'm planning like 2 other games, but I'm not going to run multiple games at the same time because I did that once, and both games suffered for it.
The thing is, like, if I can come up with a schedule and know when I'm have these games I'm running and stuff, then maybe I can join more offline games. But I've got.
I know I'm going to be using Thursdays as my day to run stuff usually. That's just that's my day off.
I actually hung out with Blaze and then Umber a little bit yesterday.
Ooh,
we did Deep Rock Galactic. Umber seems okay.
Hell yeah, that's good.
We managed to lure him out from playing Warhammer Darktide to Deep Rock.
Yeah, I know he's been playing a lot. I've seen him playing that.
Yeah.
About like 2 months ago, we played Halo together, so that was a fun time. Maybe we played Halo Reach together.
Didn't have a lot of time to chat because we were kind of me and Blaze started and he joined in, so we didn't really chat time. But like, it was nice to like actually do something with Blaze and like. Honestly, I was talking with him about, some other content for the channel because this is important related to, hey, I'm on my channel right now. Yeah. I never played through as a multiplayer Raft with its full release. Grounded is a 1.0. I would like to do that.
Grounded is one I want to play again, but I need to like get Game Pass again or buy it.
Yeah. I own it, but I just haven't done it. And then the other one is Mistlands came out for Valheim. And I have not done a multiplayer Valheim except when I was doing my single player and had just Blaze pop in a few times here and there to help out with some of the mining and stuff.
Pretty cool.
Which was fun, but like I always talked about doing like some of these games because I like a good survival game with friends. It's just
that's like the only time I play survival games.
Organizing time for people.
It is, and I'm a busy person.
Well, it's like I think I'm like, I can grab Blaze and me, we can probably figure out time for us. But then it's like, who else do I ask? When can I do it? And like all that kind of questions, and they hit, and you're like,
my schedule will be clearing up sometime in the new year. So I know because Lightning Team's ending, I don't know when his next one's going to start. The Stars Camp's going to end probably sometime next year, early next year. Stell's Game's probably going to end soonish because we're level 5, and that game I think we're only going to level 6.
I don't know how long Worm was planning for the Traveler game. I think he said like a couple of months. So, I mean, like, we still got some time on that one, but like probably in the early new year. I think once I'm done that, again, like I will, while I'm organizing other games I'll play, I'm not probably going to take
I know if you, because after because I'm pretty down to do anything on Wednesday nights once Buccaneers is over.
Yeah, I think Buccaneers I'm going to replace with something, but I haven't decided yet because I don't know if I want to start like another Pathfinder adventure and then do something else.
Do a little bit of a 5e and then jump into Pathfinder again. Get something shorter.
Yeah, that's the thing is like maybe some variety, but I would have to figure out what to put in the middle because like honestly, it's one of those things is like the good thing about Pathfinder is it does require some more work than 5e. Yeah. But it requires my like brain to fire less in some ways. Like
I still think it's easier to make a Pathfinder monster than a 5e monster.
Yeah, like it just feels easier to like set up everything and do everything a lot of times. And, like, granted, like, as I did not do a lot of setup for, like, Wrath, honestly. But, like, that's an atypical game.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing.
Wrath is a weird game.
My last 5e games have just been so weird and off there.
I think you do something a little more standard.
Yeah, I just don't know what to do.
Yeah, I know my Thursdays are booked up for a while because I got my current game, which is going to go level 8. And then I'm going to run something small, and then I'm going to run big, chunky, like fucking level 8 to 15 game. That's going to be a lot.
Yeah. I just got to figure out which ones I want to do and stuff like that. Because, like, yeah, it might be nice to sprinkle a little 5e in, so not just doing Pathfinder, but also it's sort of like, I don't, like, Pathfinder's easy. Or, like, maybe something like Starfinder or something. Like, there might be some other things that maybe I want to sprinkle in there, too. Like, I'm still considering, like, pulling out, like, just a 4E adventure or something and, like, seeing how well that would work. Because, honestly, we have goddamn Roll20. So we have
VTTs now, so...
We can play it the way it was meant to be played, which I have not played. And, you know, I still have to admit... I had a fun time with 4th edition when I played. It just is.
I thought 4th edition was fine.
It's just a really different system. I'm finding people to play it then or something. Trying some stuff out. Like
that. 4th edition has a weird stigma, so good luck.
It was just like so different. I think that's why. You know, they took a few too many steps away from what it was. That most role-playing games with new additions, you can still feel like what it was. You know, it's still the same.
Oh, definitely. 4E was very different than 3.5.
Yeah, but hey, you know, Worm, you, me, Momo. Maybe we can get like 2 more people. Hey, that's enough for a 4E party. I can get 2 more people.
Pretty much is, yeah. I'll play Warlock.
Warlock's for fun.
I don't remember if Warlock was a thing for 4E.
I just remember you were either intelligence or charisma for it. Was I was the Infernal one, which I think was the intelligence-based one, because Fae you could use charisma for. I think that's what it was. And then all I remember after that is I took the DCs were worse, and I took a multi-class and was like a sorcerer for my 10th level path, because it had really cool abilities that functioned with all my choices. So I thought that was really cool. That I'd like frost abilities. I only got to play for like 1 level before we ended, unfortunately. You know, 1 level worth of adventuring. So I wanted to see more of that, but you know,
I've just got this cool problem of like I want to run like 4 different systems. I don't know like what fucking days or when I want to run those. It's like finding people to do new systems is hard.
Well, the thing is, like, 1 or 2 multi-seasonal long-term things, and then like maybe like 1 shorter, maybe month to 2 month adventure here and there would be a little better, so I could have some variety. You know, like 2, like at most 2 adventure path type things. You know.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't think I could be in more than 1 Pathfinder game at a time.
They're hard to do that. Yeah.
It's a lot of numbers and stuff. I was just looking shit up. I spent so much time looking stuff up in Pathfinder because of the fucking group chat.
Group chat, just the level of stuff people ask sometimes.
It's so much. I'm like, I'll get the answer for you. I don't want to bother Tantus with the simple ass question.
I like when I went through that like 140
I think everything got answered.
I was like looking through them and I'm like, I'm not sure everything that's being said here.
I think everything was answered.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just hard to tell.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's like 2 conversations going at the same time.
Sometimes it feels like there's like 7.
Yeah. I try to limit what I say in there.
Well, it's sort of like the evolution of, Henry asking about making scrolls. And, can my feat, which allows me once per day to use one of my spell slots to cast a spell I don't know, you use to make scrolls? And I have to be like, no, One is just casting a spell.
Yeah, that's
the other's
two very different mechanics, but good question to ask.
It was a good question to ask, because that feat is really cool. It's sort of like...
a very good feat.
You know, once a day I can just pull out of my ass a spell from somewhere else to just cast. That's really helpful. You know, you have to use a spell slot you had still, you know, but it gives you like a versatility option out of nowhere. And you could still cast a sorcerer wizard spell. It's just, it's once a day I get versatility. And I think that's really good.
It's a really neat feat.
Yeah.
That group gets wild sometimes, so.
I gotta do that Shadowrun 4th edition adventure. That would be like, you know, maybe like a month or two.
You do Shadowrun. I could probably fuck with some Shadowrun again.
Yeah, that's when I kept thinking about it.
It's been like 4 years since I played Shadowrun, so I would probably need a refresher.
God. I technically before the
edition. I certainly would not play anything that has drones again.
It's a 4th edition adventure that I thought about adapting to 5th edition because, again, they're like so close.
They're basically the same edition.
Also, because like I think like for newer players, I feel like the 5e character build is easier.
Yeah, it's easier to build a character in Shadowrun 5e.
Priority system is better than point buy.
Yep.
So anyway, that's it for today. Just chatting about some of the things for the future of this channel. Maybe I'll use this month to try to organize some of these things. So I'll get like
organizing.
Yeah, think about some of these. Maybe like one of the shorter term adventures I'll pull out of my ass, because I know I could certainly like maybe coax Carpe out of nowhere for Shadowrun. Carpe loves Shadowrun. I think when we did the Legacies reunion, it was mentioned that I thought about Shadowrun sometime, and he's like, "Ooh, Shadowrun."
I mentioned like Cyberpunk once, and I've gotten like a bunch of DMs from Dunk telling me to run it.
I think, well, you know, Cyberpunk's one of those systems that like I like it, but I don't want to ever run it because I'm not as much of a fan of the world.
I think you would prefer playing in Cyberpunk Red because it's a little bit more forgiving.
For me, yeah, certainly like...
You don't have to roll your character backstory. It'd have like 30 women who hate you.
It had been so long since that, you know, that it's not the first time that's occurred. Not for women, but like, I have done Cyberpunk before, the old system, a couple of times.
I remember. I like got a permanent -2 to a very important stat. And I was just like, well, this character's dead.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think just Red's a difficult one. Red's an easier one, and I think it's just like for me again, Cyberpunk. I'm not as a big a fan of the lore on that one, so that's like I think the lore's fine, but it's one of those ones that's why I'm like I don't want to dive into it to run it as much.
That's fair. That's completely fair.
You know, I've got my sci-fi systems and stuff. I always think about doing something like more than a one-shot for Star Trek too.
Wow, Star Trek's so fun. I'm still planning that short Fallout game at some point.
Maybe I'll just take a bunch of those like mission packs and just like create a season of like
you could
random shit your characters do for, you know,
dumb season. I would love to be in a longer Star Trek game. I could actually make a serious character.
Yeah, like just do a season and use like the mission briefs to come up with some random missions to like, you know, here's some things you do for the week, you know, or a couple of weeks of like, there's this thing, move on to the next one. We don't have to have like huge overarching narratives because it's goddamn Star Trek.
Yeah, I'll play. I'll just play. Oh god, what the fuck is his name? Will Wheaton's character.
Yeah.
That guy.
The Gorn Doctor.
Yeah, Gorn Doctor.
I liked my Gorn Doctor, honestly.
Lizard Man.
He was. You had Dr. Om Nom Nom. You suggested that wasn't my character's name, and I still liked my character. He was very silly, but I played him very serious. The one that I did in that was the only one that Josh ran. Yeah. That was fun. Anyway, okay.
Yep.
Enough talk about that. Got to get going. Thank you for joining me, Momo.
No problem.
All right. Schedule for the week. I will be doing Parasite Eve 1 on Monday and probably Friday. The plan will be Monday, get through chapters 4 and towards the end of chapter 5. Then I'll kind of pause it. Friday, I'm going to see, depending on, because I do want to get to, like, I'm going to try to do the Chrysler Building at least one time on stream. And it is a thing.
Good luck.
As much as I would like to do this, like, once a year for a couple of, like, you know, it does for, like, a holiday kind of tradition or something. For both 1 and 2, I do want to get through Chrysler Building, but I also want to just power level to 99 and make it easy. I don't know if I can do that by Friday. If I can't do it by Friday, we'll start Parasite Eve 2. And I will, when Parasite Eve 2 is done, get back to doing the technical finale of Parasite Eve 1. Okay? And then, Pathfinder Wrath of Righteous on Wednesday, along with Buccaneers of Shackled Sea. So Pathfinder video game and Pathfinder actual game on Wednesday. And then, yeah. And from there, this show, again, and everything else is played by ear. So, if anything else comes up, or if I organize one of these many things I've talked about, I will let people know. And I will probably start looking into, probably not on Christmas, but around that time, doing some kind of holiday special, if I could figure out a good adventure for it.
Ooh, Christmas.
Yeah. I don't know what. I'll figure out something that seems neat and holiday-y. At least a winter solstice event or something. I've probably got a couple of those online I can find. Anyway, farewell, everybody. Have a great rest of your Saturday, and a great rest of your evening. And I'll see you at very least on Monday. So until then, goodbye.
Bye.